Borderlands 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. I've played it over and over and over again. I've thousands of hours in the game, but I've never done a challenge run before. So to mix things up, I decided to absolutely torture myself by attempting to beat the entire game without dying, but with 25 times the amount of enemies. And the rules for the run are simple. No anarchy stacking and gauge shenanigans, no weapon merging, and if I bleed out and fight for your life, I need to completely start over on a fresh character. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and just get right into my first run. For my first ever attempt, I decided to go with Krieg. He can do massive amounts of AoE damage through his Bloodlust tree, and particularly his capstone, Bloodsplosion, which can clear out entire hordes of enemies and deal billions of damage, which is absolutely perfect for this run. The only problem with this though is that it is his capstone, which means I need to basically get to level 30 until I have this massive power spike, which means my early game is going to be incredibly difficult. So after waking up on Pandora and getting berated by Claptrap for 2 minutes, we can finally go back to his place for some fun. But my special time with Claptrap is cut short by him having his eye ripped out, so after stealing his gun, I leave him alone and go and take an IQ test with Tannis, which then gets me to level 3. I head back to fight my first ever group of enemies in the challenge, the Monglets, where it totally does not set in how long this is actually going to take. A lot more people there than I thought. My god. And after getting cornered by some bullymongs, they are literally forming a wall. This is like the Pokemon lion ladder type deal. I finally make it to the first boss of the game, Knuckle Dragger, who also drops the first very important piece of gear of the run, the Hornet. The Hornet deals corrosive damage in a very small splash radius, so it can hit multiple enemies if they are stacked on top of one another. And after Claptrap bravely dodges my grenade, the first of 25 Knuckle Draggers are finally dead, and I bravely fight the rest of them while waiting for my Hornet drop. Well, I have to do all of that again because I didn't get a single Hornet drop. After finally getting my drop, we can go to Liarsburg, where Claptrap has a mental breakdown and Claptrap is stuck. So after giving the bandits a fireworks show, that was satisfying, and killing them inside of their homes, we finally end up meeting Hammerlock, who decides to put his fist through Claptrap's eye socket, which for some reason ends up fixing him. Claptrap then decided to trauma dump on me, which made me want to blow all these people up. But all my fun blowing up these bandits came to a screeching halt. That was way too close. Then I go on and fight Boom Boom, and I kill them pretty much instantly with my own Boom Boom. And after only 20 minutes of fighting them, I am finally free. Oh my god, that took so long. And I get to blow up Claptrap, which then spawns a seemingly endless amount of FPS eating bandits. Oh my god. To where my skyrocket bounces off an enemy and eventually downs me. No, please. Oh my god. Oh, that's so bad. So bad. Well, there goes attempt 1. So, attempt number 1 was a complete failure. I completed 3 of the 19 story missions in about 2 hours, which means that I greatly underestimated how long this run is really going to take. And I had no idea what I was getting into. But before we end up getting into attempt number 2, consider subscribing. Now, let's get on to attempt number 2. I decided to ditch the Psycho and go with Maya instead. She has more AoE with skills like Helios and Cloud Kill, which Maya also gets very early in her skill tree, so the early part of the run is going to be a lot easier. So, after waking up and then admiring Claptrap's figure some more, talking to Tanis, getting the Hornet. Ooh, I see it. Using the power of seduction to open a door. Yada yada, bandits, yada yada, eye surgery. Hear about pretzels.
Pretzels suck.
Accidentally kill myself again. Oh my god. But for this part, I actually decided to stay on the turret and kill everyone with that, which actually worked out pretty well, and I don't know why I didn't do it the first time. I eventually make it through and make my way into the bandit camp where I catch a glimpse of Claptrap getting a train ran on him, and after defending Claptrap's honor, I did a sick speedrun skip, which I was very happy about. Skip, dude. Oh my god, I'm insane. And finally made it to Flint. Beautiful cutscene. Where I can grenade jump back to the vending machines and safety, and where there is a very tiny hole in the wall that I can shoot from. But after getting very impatient, I decided to jump down and finish off Flint and board Claptrap's ship, where we set sail for the beautiful destination of Three Horns Divide, where the bandits are plentiful and the loot is very overpowered. The voice in my head tells me to pirate a car, and after trying, we get a note from our ISP. So, after installing a quick little VPN, we can finally download the car of our dreams and make it to Sanctuary, where after setting Door Guy on fire, I am told to go find some random guy out in the Marrow Fields. And right before this, nobody crosses the Rainbow Bridge. Loser. He tells me some bandits stole a power core. So I have to go all the way down here and pick it up and drive all the way back to where they finally let me inside Sanctuary. Once I replace the power core, I get a threatening message from a secret admirer, telling me to meet up at Frostburn Canyon, of course. But before addressing this incredibly important and time-sensitive message, I have some farming to do. It is time to farm for one of the most overpowered weapons in the entire game. A double-penetrating unkempt herald, preferably with a matching grip. This means that it will deal the maximum amount of damage possible, which I will need. The only problem is it is a 1 in 1,120 drop. So, will I get it? Well, I am happy to say after a whopping 25 runs, which means 625 total kills, we got this. No matching grip, but it'll do. So now, I'm finally ready to take on Frostburn Canyon. This is probably one of the most dangerous areas I've been in. The enemies are densely packed, there are tons of spider ants and psychos, and it concludes with the longest mobbing section that I've encountered yet. So, jumping headfirst into the area and slowly making my way through, I finally reach the final area and meet up with my secret admirer, Lilith, where she decided to break the bruisers and make them completely invincible. And after a whole 40 minutes of killing the same psychos over and over, I listened to the beautiful words that Lilith has been saving just for me. Wow, she has such a way with words. So I guess Lilith was trying to tell us about her boyfriend, Roland, who also needs saving. So I guess I will do that. And just like that, we're off to the beautiful vacation destination of Three Horns Valley, which features a 5-star motel, some varied wildlife, natural geysers, and a very useful legendary farm which I will get to later. But first, we gotta get this motel up and running again. So, after finding some parts, oh my god, we can get this place back up and running pretty quickly. And before farming for the next legendary of the run, I needed to go back to Sanctuary and do some surgery at the request of Zed, who just so happens to tell me exactly where to go to get my new shiny legendary. He tells me to get it from none other than the one and only Doc Mercy, who after many runs decides to finally drop the Infinity Pistol. This gun is incredibly useful since it has infinite ammo and pretty much solves all of my ammo problems that I've been having so far this run. The only real drawback is that the gun is kind of terrible. With my new shiny legendary in hand, I decide to head over to Bloodshot Stronghold to show it off to them. And after catcalling some of the bandits, I'm forced to run away to my least favorite area in the entire game, the dust. This is where the bandits finally learn how to drive, and you can easily get stuck out in the middle of nowhere and have to run for 10 minutes all the way back. But after meeting up with Ellie and trying to seduce her, of course, I leave disappointed and go and get some vehicle parts. Oh my god. Which I then put together and head back to honk at the gate and get let inside the bandit stronghold. Here I fight Bad Ma, who gets me to level 18. And I finally head inside what is the most difficult area of the game. This is by far the most tedious and difficult area so far. The enemy density is insanely high. There are so many badass enemies who can practically one-shot me. And so to get through here, I'm gonna have to play the best goddamn Borderlands 2 of my life. And I'm done. My just go for it plan did not work. Oh my god. Oh my god. Holy lag. Run! Bye, Roland. Well, after only 2 hours of Bloodshot Stronghold, I finally make it back to Sanctuary just to pick up some pizza from Moxie and head right back to the Bloodshots. Because I need to farm for yet another very important piece of gear, the Stormfront Grenade. This is easily my favorite grenade in the entire game. It covers a huge area and deals pretty massive damage even later on. So after luring out some rats with pizza and murdering them, I finally get my longbow Stormfront. There we go. Now it's time for me to head to the Tundra Express where I wake up Mordecai and then proceed to drown out everything he is saying by electrocuting some insects. But over all the noise, I hear I have to go and meet Tina, who tells me I need to go and get some explosives for her, of course. So after doing a sick grenade jump, I get the first one and quickly grab the second one. And on the way out, I of course have to kill some Varkids, because why not? And then meet up with Tina once again, who sings a song for me. I then pick up the new Badonkadonks, set them off, and go and kill Wilhelm. And pick up the Totally Not Evil Power Core. After installing the Totally Not Evil Power Core in Sanctuary, it ends up getting bombed. Oh. And I have to go and save Roland yet again because he sucks, and you will see more of that later in the run, trust me. And then somehow Lilith can teleport the entire city with everyone still inside of it, besides me. So then after all my friends leave me, the voice in my head tells me to go to the fridge, which just so happens to be full of rats. But with my new nade, it is really not that much of a problem to get through. Ooh. The ears. But then I come across the Gluttonous Thresher fight, which only took about 15 minutes to actually get through. But trust me, it felt way longer. And I can finally go into the city of Overlook and defend the beacon, which surprisingly did not break a single time. And then I can finally head back to Sanctuary and confront Lilith about leaving me behind. But now that I'm back, it is time for everyone's favorite mission. Yay! The wildlife preservation. This mission is definitely not super long with a huge mobbing section like halfway through. So to start the mission off, I scare a couple of stalkers. I come across Mordecai, who decides to just aura farm the hell out of me for no reason. And Mordecai tells me to go and save his weird bird that Handsome Jack stole for some reason. And once I finally make it past the doorman, I finally make it to the preserve after only about 45 minutes. I can finally get through the door. Done. Only to discover that Bloodwing isn't even there right now. So I have to fight my way all the way back over to a new spot. Oh, thank you. And finally make it to Bloodwing, who then instantly breaks my game. My game just froze. And my game crashed. And so, after doing all of that again, I finally make it back to Bloodwing. And let's just say this fight went really well. Bloodwing was definitely not broken whatsoever. Once Mordecai finally puts Bloodwing down, I head back to Sanctuary and talk to this abomination. And just like that, I am done with this mission. Thank God. But now Roland wants me to go and deliver a love note to Brick in Thousand Cuts, who totally does not mess everything up and make it take forever. But before that, I get myself the single most useful piece of gear of the run. I start by grabbing some kegs in the dust, and then I give all of them to Moxie as she promised me the ruby. This pistol is important because it heals you for any amount of damage that you deal while holding it. And now with Moxie's ruby in hand, I head to Thousand Cuts, where pretty much instantly the ruby is showing its worth and keeping me alive. I did witness a natural wonder of Pandora in the form of a Goliath geyser, which could bring me to tears of its pure beauty. I then start the bandit initiation, which was surprisingly very easy. All the enemies just jump down into my grenade, and anyone left up top could be killed since I farmed for a longbow stormfront. Once I finally killed all the bandits, Brick jumped down and I could deliver Roland's little love note. And I think it was a combination of killing the sarcastic Slab and Roland's love note that set Brick on a rampage. Brick is so angry that he has to kill every single loader that spawns in, which means it takes us about 15 minutes to get to the first beacon, another 15 to get to the second one, and about 25 minutes to get the third one. Thank you so much, Brick. But thankfully, now that our two lovebirds are finally reunited, it's time to head to the beautiful land of opportunity, where I need to find and kill Jack's body double, which should not be too hard, but there are a ton of enemies on this map. So I get to sneak around a little bit, and eventually I find Jack's body double. And I proceed to just absolutely fry the hell out of them like it is not pretty. And now I have quite a few choices on which pocket watch I want. But now I need to listen very carefully to all of the info kiosks around the map. And thankfully, pretty quickly, I was able to find everything that I needed and complete the mission way faster than I thought I was going to be able to. But now it is time for what is easily the hardest mission of the entire run so far, where angels fear to tread. Not only is this mission long, this mission has a ton of incredibly powerful enemies, a strong boss, and one of the most unbelievably janky mobbing sections of the entire game. But that is a rant I will get to later. For now, I grab the abomination and head to Thousand Cuts to admire a Banksy. And the abomination is helpful enough to let me through the Hyperion death wall, where I proceed to greatly underestimate the sheer amount of flying enemies. Oh my god. But I eventually make it through to the constructors, where I get jump scared by some guys at the door. And then I just get a few more enemies to spawn in. And I get to set off a couple nukes which definitely did not permanently break my audio. And now I'm finally here, the bunker. And my expectation was this fight was going to be so difficult. But I ended up getting pretty lucky, and most of them ended up getting stuck on each other, which really helped. But this means I get to take a crack at the peak of technology, the highest defense that Hyperion can muster, the true test of my ultimate goal of beating the game without dying.
I love you.
Access granted.
That was easy. Okay, now it is time for the true test. Control Core Angel. Just for reference, this part usually takes less than 10 minutes to get through on a normal playthrough. So how long should it take for me? 20 minutes, 30, 40, an hour? Well, this took me a full hour and a half of hearing the same dialogue over and over and over. So let's get right into it. We learned that the voice in my head was a siren named Angel who is charging the vault key, but who cares? The entire map is set up as a arena where you fight loaders that spawn in, and you have to break the iridium fuel injectors to complete the mission. All of this would be fine and dandy, but you need Roland to lower the shields. And how many Rolands does it take to lower a shield? Well, clearly more than 25, because he struggles with this so much. And for some reason, the loaders can just spawn underground, which means you have to sit there and wait upwards of 5 minutes sometimes, or just reset. Thank God. And after doing all of that, the first of 3 iridium injectors is finally broken. And after pulling some more loaders up out of the ground, one of them is stuck and I have to fully reset the mission. Okay, take 2. After doing all of that again, I can finally destroy the second fuel injector, so now there's only one left. Once again, I get to try and do some mobbing and get a loader out of the ground. But I also get to do my second favorite thing in the world and reset yet again and do the entire thing again. Roland is causing me so much pain and suffering. After this reset, I can finally destroy the final iridium injector and watch as Roland gets what he deserves for not turning off the shields in a timely manner. And just like that, the pain and suffering is over. I can head over to the Iridium Blight, where I get denied access into the Arid Nexus, which is fine. But now I need to go to Sawtooth Cauldron, which kind of sucks. But thankfully, I can jump down and avoid a large combat area, only to enter a much larger combat area, where I am then denied access to the elevator. So I just kill a ton of enemies, blow up some guy's buzzard, and then electrocute that guy to death. And then head up. Once I'm up the elevator, I just stroll through, mark a few boxes, do a sick jump off of the tower, and make my way to Arid Nexus. But the data mining mission was surprisingly difficult. See, you have to make your way to 3 pumping stations, and not the good kind. The first one, not so bad. Just run up, turn the valves, which gave me a lot of false confidence for the next ones. And at the next one, I pretty much instantly go down, but I am able to get through without much problem. But this third underground pumping station was something else entirely. I'm just going to let this one play out because it is a miracle. Oh my god. So needless to say, I was making diamonds right there, and it didn't even get much better on the next map, where after doing the Uncle Teddy side mission for Lady Fist, I grenade jump over a wall to skip some loaders and fight Saturn. Oh my god. After killing Saturn and then making my way to the info stockade, I pick up the location of the final boss. So now it is all down to this, the final mission. It is a 2-hour marathon, which has the longest mobbing sections, high enemy density maps. But before all of that, I need to go talk with the Abomination and meet up with it to do what is now the most tedious part of the run, waiting for this Abomination to open up a door. See, the loaders here have a very slow spawn rate, so it was a lot of waiting for them to spawn, killing them instantly in a single shot, and rinse and repeat. Oh man. Eventually, some more ended up spawning, but it didn't really get any faster, and this entire part took over an hour and a half. Yay! Finally. Thankfully, I can leave the Abomination behind and move on to Heroes Pass, where I am instantly met with a death laser. After killing a ton of loaders, I make it through the Hyperion door and can make a break for the end of the map. And this is where I meet the final boss, the warrior. Everything comes down to this. 20 hours into the run, I have finally made it to my final challenge. Here, Jack can easily down me. The Rax can knock me into the lava and stun lock me. And the warrior has the ability to knock me down at any moment. Will I have to go back to the beginning and see Claptrap again? Will I have to do Control Core Angel yet again? Or will I succeed in my journey and finally lay this challenge to rest? Let's find out.